Interesting story. George Washington University is not caving to the demands to fire Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas from his job as an adjunct professor there. He voted, of course, to overturn Roe v. Wade and wrote that the court should also reconsider the rights to contraception and same-sex marriage, although the other justices did not hold that opinion. George Washington University says, quote, like all faculty members at our school, Justice Thomas has academic freedom and freedom of expression and inquiry. It is not the proper role of the university to attempt to shield individuals within or outside the university from ideas or opinions they find unwelcome, disagreeable, or even deeply offensive. But not everybody had the same reaction.
Friday's decision has made me a very strong advocate of the pull-out method, which is when you pull Clarence Thomas out of the Supreme Court.
This dude is so extreme. He's talking about banning rights I didn't even realize could be banned.
Well, you better hope that they don't come for you, Clarence, and say you should not be married to your wife, who happens to be white.
I went to law school with him. He's been a person of grievance for as long as I've known him. Resentment, grievance, anger.
Resentment and grievance from Hillary Clinton. Let's bring in Dr. Ben Carson, former Housing and Urban Development Secretary under President Trump and founder and chairman of the American Cornerstone Institute. Dr. Carson, always good to have you with us. Thank you for joining us today. What's your reaction to the sort of, cultural response to Clarence Thomas that you just heard there?
Well, certainly nothing particularly surprising. You know, for many on the left, the only thing worse than Satan is a black conservative. And, they feel that Clarence Thomas is ripe for particular scorn because he is black and he's supposed to think a certain way. And, in terms of him being an embittered person like Hillary Clinton said, I've known Clarence Thomas for decades. I don't find him to be that way at all. He's one of the most beloved members of the Horatio Alger Society, which I'm a member of, who have many people that America admires. And they admire him not because he's a Supreme Court justice, but because of his personality. And, he's a perfect example of what my mother used to tell me. She would say, Benjamin, if you walk into an auditorium full of racist, bigoted people, you don't have a problem. They have a problem because they're all going to cringe and wonder if you're going to sit next to them, whereas you can sit anywhere you want. And that's sort of the philosophy he takes. He's not going to allow other people's grievances and prejudices and hatred to affect his life.
So what about the part of his opinion where he talked about the court revisiting whether or not the contraception decision or the same-sex marriage decision were rightly decided by the Supreme Court, given the broader due process clause in the Constitution and what it does and doesn't apply to?
Yeah, I think he's simply saying that, we have a court now that will perhaps listen without hysterics to some of the arguments that maybe they didn't listen to before. And if a compelling case presents itself, I don't think he's advocating let's go out and look for such a case. But if it comes up, they're willing to consider it. And that's a good thing. One of the things that is so bothersome right now is that we have a court system in which we have certain justices, we always know how they're going to vote because they vote ideologically rather than based on the Constitution. And that's disturbing. And we have people who want to put more of those types of justices on the Supreme Court. That's something that we should all be very concerned about.
Just very quickly, about 20 seconds, speaking out about Loving versus Virginia, the ruling about interracial marriage, what did you think of that comment, given that his wife is a white woman?
That's an absurd comment. Interracial marriage has been something that we've seen a lot of recently because people are getting to know each other. And they recognize the thing that makes a person who they are is their brain, not their skin. And that's a wonderful kudos for America.
Dr. Ben Carson, thank you, sir. Good to hear from you today.
Thank you, Martha.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.